Hey guys, what's up? It's Yana. Welcome to day 9, or rather evening 9 of Camp NaNoWriMo July 2021. As you can see, it's already dark. It's around 9 o'clock at night. Oh my goodness. I didn't film earlier today because I was actually having quite a relaxed day and I didn't want to interrupt that. I've been catching up on my reading. I am reading The Wolf and the Hawk by Julian Greystrok. I'm really enjoying that book. If you're into low fantasy romance with strong female characters, then go ahead and buy it. I really think it's pretty great. I've been entertained by it all the way through so far. I'm nearly finished with it, and then I will be buying the next books in the series when they come out. So this is a little shout out. I really think it's a nice book. What was I going to say? Yes, in terms of my writing today, I've been taking it easy, but that doesn't mean I wasn't writing. What I wasn't doing was I wasn't writing directly into my novel, but I was doing something related to it. I was planning on editing and finishing off chapters in the novel, but what happened was that I got a really persistent plot bunny, or it's not really a plot bunny because it's not a different plot. Let me try to explain. So my book is aimed at middle grade and maybe slightly higher, as I've mentioned a few times. However, there are some relationships in it between certain characters that I am really fond of and I'm really interested in, and I know a lot of facts about those characters and relationships because they just pop up in my brain. But those are not the kinds of scenes that really fit with the target audience for the book. And I don't know what to do with that because I really want to write those stories. So there's two characters who have a very interesting dynamic, and my brain constantly supplies little scenes with them and little stories and how they got to know one another and what they're saying to each other off screen while the kids are having their adventure. And these are all things that I'm really itching to write, but they wouldn't fit into the book. It's kind of like, if I had to give an example of a similar thing, it's kind of like everybody wants to see the story of the Marauders and Harry Potter, or even the story of Dumbledore and Grindelwald, but that just doesn't fit into the book because it's Harry's story, and I'm kind of in the same predicament. So what I was doing today is I was just exercising all of those little ideas in my brain, and I wrote several scenes about those characters that I know won't fit at least into this book. I'm wondering if maybe potentially, because as the main characters, as the main cast of kids are growing up, potentially some of this stuff, you know, the target audience might just grow up with them the same way it happens with some other series, and maybe in future books those scenes could fit in as flashbacks potentially, or at least those events will probably get mentioned. But I definitely am not putting them into this book. And then the other idea that was floating inside my head about them was whether I could just, I've never really seen this done. Please let me know if you know of any author who's done this. But I was wondering if I could just write a separate book or separate novella which had a different target audience, slightly older, because these are adults. It wouldn't even be young adult because they're past the young adult age. So they are just adults and adult relationships, even though I think those would be interesting for young people to read. It kind of almost reads like young adult, but the characters are older than that. So I was wondering if it would be completely insane and ridiculous to write a separate novella that was just about them and how they met, and like a mid-quo, you know, and I don't know, is that extremely self-indulgent and horrible? Is it kind of like, oh, it's 50 Shades of Grey, but from Christian's point of view? Because it almost sounds like that, but then also I really, really kind of want to do it. This is crazy because I haven't even finished a polished version of this book, B, published it in any sort of way, C, found anybody to even read it. So let alone like looking for additional people to read the side book about the supplementary material about these characters in this book. But you know, the muse takes you where the muse wants to take you. So I was wondering, do the rest of you, do you guys have stuff that, I know usually with world building, you always end up with some things that don't make it into the book, but they're usually just little notes about the characters or their backstories, and just little things that you know and that you need to know in order to progress the plot and to tell the tale that you want to tell. But do you have entire separate books about, it's almost like it's fan fiction of your own book, isn't it? That's basically what I want to write. I want to write fan fiction of my own book, and that sounds so self-centered. Because it's not that I think I'm that good of an author. I really like these characters. I like playing with them, let's put it this way. I really like playing with them, and I want to play with them a bit more. And I think it's the semi-side character syndrome. I mean, they're fairly important. They're main characters. They are main characters, but they're not the main characters. And what usually happens is the slightly side characters are often more compelling in books than the main cast, and I think that's just because you learn more about the main cast, so there's less of a mystery, there's less of a question mark, whereas with these side characters I want to know more, and that's probably why I want to write more and explore them, especially considering that one of them basically just negotiated his way into this book. This was a character that was not supposed to exist at all. Like, he wasn't there for the first 5 million drafts. And then I created this tiny, like, couple of scenes side character that was just there to serve a purpose. And he was just there to basically be kidnapped for like 5 minutes and then give a little piece of information to the children. And he was not even supposed to be that sympathetic or cool or anything. He was just supposed to be this random guy who was a little bit of a coward, and you know, he just wasn't that important. And then as I started writing him, within the very first few sentences, you will think I'm crazy, but do your characters talk to you? I'm not literally hearing voices, right? This is all metaphorical, but it feels like that character basically went, this is not what I'm like. And I was like, okay, well, what are you like? And then he started telling me what he was like, and I thought he was great, and I kept him, and his role in the story kept growing and growing and growing and growing until he became a main cast member, and he's really important, and now he's even more important later into the series. So I'm just very fond of him because he came out of nowhere, and that's just really cool. That feels very magical when this happens. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I want to tell his story, and the story of the person he randomly announced he was in a relationship with. Again, that was not planned at all, and he was just like, he's very talkative, that one. Not all of my characters are this talkative. Some of them are just quiet and they sit in the corner and they wait for me to tell them what to do. But this one, just, he knows exactly what he wants, and he was just like, well, you know what, I have a crush on this guy. And I was like, okay. So that's what I did today. I just wrote how they met and the beginning of their relationship, which was not that great of a beginning. The predicaments that they were in, let's just say it should have been difficult for them to immediately be friends just because of circumstances. But then that develops later into something more. I am absolutely babbling tonight. Anyway, so yeah, let me know if this has ever happened to you, or let me know if there are any cool details that you really wish you could insert in your book, but it just wouldn't work and that's not the place for them. That's gonna be all from me for today. Just a chatty video about my brain coming up with crazy ideas. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my screen keeps turning off. I will see you in the next video. Bye!